name. Okay, guys, once again, I welcome you to my lesson for today, where we'll be looking at a question one type of questions. So you normally find this type of questions in your mathematics paper 1 in grade 11 and 12. So guys, what I'll be doing is to show you how to approach this type of questions. So please do make sure that you listen very carefully. And again, in case if you do not understand, you are welcome to stop me in the middle of my explanation to ask or request for me to re-explain. But it becomes better if you are able to spot that part which you do not understand. So guys, I'm going to copy the first question. So question 1.1, 1.1.1, it's negative 3x squared plus 2x plus 2, and this is equated to 0. And in brackets, they say correct two decimal places. And this question is allocated 3 marks. So guys, when you're given this type of problems, there are some things that you need to be aware of, which is the stuff that I was teaching in my grade 10 lesson that I was doing before we started with this lesson. So every time when you're given a problem, you need to be able to identify the type of a problem that you're given. In this case, we are given an equation. Remember, you've got an equation or an expression. So I'm just going to quickly explain the difference between the two, and again, how you approach each type of a problem. Then on upcoming questions, I won't need to explain all of this, but I'll quickly straight away solve the problem. So guys, you can either have an equation or an expression. How do you notice an equation? Let's start with an equation. An equation has got that equal sign. So the moment you see an equal sign, then you know you've got an equation. So ladies and gentlemen, if you've got an equation, it means you must solve. So that means you see an equal sign, you know you've got an equation. When you've got an equation, what do? You must solve. What are you solving? You solve for the unknown. What is the unknown? The unknown is a letter, which could be any letter from A all the way up to Z. But normally in mathematics, they like using letter X, which means we could have had A over there, or B, C, D, E, F, G, any letter all the way up to Z. But in this case, they chose to use letter X. So that means for this problem, our unknown is letter X. So which means we need to solve for the value of X. What does it mean? It means in the end, we must say unknown, which is that whatever letter is equals to a number, which could be a negative number, it could be 0, it could be a positive number. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, a negative number could be negative 1,2, it could be just negative 1, it could be 0. Remember, 0, it could be positive or negative. Whether you punch positive 0 or negative 0, you just get 0. And again, it could be 4, it could be 7, it could be 7,9, it could be whatever positive number. So ladies and gentlemen, that's what you need to be aware of as far as an equation is concerned. Remember, from our previous lessons, I've indicated that we've got types of equations. You can either have a linear equation. You can also have a quadratic equation. You can also have a quadratic inequality. So that means there, let me add to say we also have inequalities and not add it under quadratic. So all that you need to know with regards to an equation is that whenever you see an equal sign, you know you've got an equation. Whenever you are given an equation you need to solve, you solve for the unknown. Your unknown will be the letter is equals to either positive or negative or zero. Remember, you can either have a linear or a quadratic equation. How do you see a quadratic equation? It is those type of problems which is a letter to the power 2 or which is a letter squared. So that's all that you need to be aware of with regards to a quadratic, with regards to an equation. Let's get to an expression. An expression is that type of a problem which does not have an equal sign. So when you're dealing with an expression, it means you don't have an equal sign. No equal sign. And again, if you know you're dealing with an expression, it means you simplify. So it's as simple as that. Obviously, when you simplify, it means you are given a very long or complicated expression, which you need to write in its simplest form. For example, you could be given 4 plus 2 minus 1. So you can either follow BODMAS to solve this or punch all of this on a calculator and get just one number. So that means you have simplified that lengthy expression into its simplest form. Remember, not at all times it will be numbers. It could be 4x, y, p squared over there. So guys, when it comes to inequalities, how do you notice inequalities? Obviously, it's either you've got that sign of greater than or that sign of less than. And again, it could be greater than is equals to or less than is equals to. Then you know, based on our previous lessons, how you deal with this type of inequality equations. So guys, that's all that I wanted to explain in terms of how you notice the type of a problem that you are dealing with. Luckily, we are not doing this type of a lesson for the first time. Therefore, the pace at which I'll be dealing with this type of problems won't be similar to when we started. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are given a quadratic equation. Why am I saying it's a quadratic equation? It's because of that letter squared. And because I see an equal sign, then it means it's an equation. So the most important question that you should ask yourself is that, is it in the standard form? Remember, guys, for it to be in the standard form, you need to have a positive a value. And again, the whole of this should be equated to 0. And again, it has to be in the standard form of that order of letter squared, letter, and a constant, which means in this case, that problem is not in the standard form. Therefore, before we can start solving that problem, we have to rewrite it in the standard form. And most importantly, because they set correct to 2 decimal places, it's an indication that you must use that formula that I always say, you must know it by heart, because at tertiary, you will still be using this formula, guys. So we need to know the value of A. We need to know the value of B. We need to know the value of C. So, ladies and gentlemen, because we said this problem is not in the standard form, then it means we have to rewrite it in the standard form. Why do we have to write that in the standard form? Remember, we need to have positive A value. So now that the A value is negative, we can either say we divide all terms by -1, all terms by -1. Remember, you also divide that 0. When we say all terms, we are not only talking about those values on the left side of the equal sign. Remember, what you do on the left, you also do on the right. So if we divide everything by -1, the other one may say we just change the sign of each term. Then it becomes positive 3x squared minus 2x minus 2. This is equals to, even if you punch 0 divided by -1, I think it will still give you negative, it will give you 0. So ladies and gentlemen, now we've got our positive A value, which is positive 3. What is our B value? It's -2. What is our C value? Let me see. It's -3. So we've got all that we need in order to substitute on that formula. So ladies and gentlemen, now it's just a matter of substituting. Remember, at all times, when you substitute, put it in brackets. You will notice shortly why you need to put it in brackets. So we've got negative from the original formula into what is our B value? It's -2. So can you see it removes that confusion of that part where you've got a negative and again you are substituting with a negative value. Okay, so plus or minus. Remember, you just write everything as it is. All you do is just to substitute. So ladies and gentlemen, our B value is -2. Remember, guys, you are most likely to make a mistake when you substitute that part by forgetting a square over there. -4, our A value is +3, our C value is -2. All of that divided by 2 into A, which is, what is it? It's +3. So now, after substituting, ladies and gentlemen, you therefore give two values of x. Why? Because remember, we are saying the x value, it's equals to the whole of that using a positive sign or using a negative sign. That's why when we give the x values, we've got two values of x. So guys, this is that opportunity where you can punch all of this on your calculator, firstly using a positive sign, and let me know what answer you get. I'll write it there, edit and use a negative sign, get an answer, then I'll write it there. So I'll just give you 30 minutes to give it a try, ladies and gentlemen. So guys, are you winning there?
Yes, sir. So if we say
So
minus negative 0.555. If we say minus, say it's negative 0.55.
So you're saying a
For minus, it's 0.55.
no. Remember, before we get to a decimal number, let's firstly write it in that fraction. So I firstly want it in that fraction. is it level? So I'm not sure which type of a calculator you're using a level, but remember the value that you're giving, it's in a decimal form. So I want that fraction form. I'm not sure if it's not showing on your calculator. Let me punch. Let's see. Are you say I'm if you know what I'm looking for? If you close minus 4, we into that equal. Is this one who's getting 1 plus square root of n? What is it? 3. This when you punch the whole of that using a positive sign.
Yes, sir.
Guys,
Sir, I got
are we still
1
together?
plus square root 7 over 2, not over 3.
I'm getting 1 plus square root of 7 over 3.
Guys, the connection is 100%. Are we still together?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
My
sir. I
connection
got
is
1
bad.
plus
You got over
square
2.
root 7 over
So
3.
let me check if I made a mistake somewhere.
Sir, I think
It's
you
1
made a
plus square root
mistake.
of
You
7.
also got over 3. The other guys, what are you getting? So let's use a
Sir, can I
minus
say
sign.
something?
Okay. Then when you use a minus, what are you getting there?
It's 1 minus square root of 7 over 3.
Is there someone who wants to ask a question?
No, it's fine, sir. I think it was a mistake from my side.
Mm-hmm. So you got it, ne?
Yes, sir.
1 root of 7 over 3. I'm also getting. Okay. So what is this one in a form of decimal? Are you also getting negative 5,55? That one? Are you also getting positive 1.22? Are you getting the same answer?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Guys, are you getting the same answer or are you still calculating?
The same answer,
We're
sir.
getting the same answer, sir.
Okay, so I assume we all get the same answer. So remember, guys, in mathematics, they usually, okay, 100%. So I was saying in mathematics, they usually they don't give you a mark for identifying the correct formula, but otherwise, for correct substitution, you are most likely to score a mark. And again, I think for that simplification, they might give you a mark, and again for your final answers. So I suspect this is how you might score yourself your full 3 marks. So guys, I think this question, it was straightforward. Any
But
question?
Sammy, I'm getting a different answer. I'm
For which one?
substituting with negative in the formula, I'm getting 1 minus square root of 7 over 3.
Okay, let's try to quickly check something. remember the first calculation that you did? I remember you got a complete different number from ours. So if you went back to that same calculation and edited that positive to minus, you will still get a wrong number. So you need to correct that first mistake that you made. Then from there, mhm.
So may you please read
For the 1 minus square root of 7 over 3.
3? Yes, sir. That's the answer. 1 minus square root of 7 over 3.
So are you saying you got it correctly, or you want me to quickly redo that part?
It's correct. It's correct, sir.
Okay. So guys, are we all on the same page? Can we move to the next question?
Yes, sir.
I go.
Hmm? I had someone saying Haibo. Are we not on the same page? So it could be that you made a mistake somewhere when you're doing some calculations. But remember, guys, this lesson is being recorded. So I'm going to make it available online where you can still catch up in case if you missed some of the information that I've explained. So guys, let's now move to question 1.1.2. I'm going to quickly write it down. 1.1.2, which is x squared plus 2x minus 3. This is equals to 5. And this question is allocated 3 marks. So remember, guys, I think for the whole of this week, I'll be doing those type of questions that I sent in the group, even though I might not do 100% of those questions. But this is just to prepare you for question 1 of mathematics, just so that you score at least, let's say 70 to 80 percent of that question. So, ladies and gentlemen, same explanation that I've explained to you initially, it applies to each and every mathematical problem that I'm given. So in this case, what is this problem? This is an equation. What type of an equation? It's a quadratic equation. Why? It's because of that letter squared. It's because of that x squared, which makes it a quadratic. And that equal sign, it makes it a quadratic equation. So ladies and gentlemen, is this in the standard form? An answer to that question, it's a big no. Why? It's because the whole of this, although it's in the standard form on the left side, but it's not equated to 0. What does it mean? It means I need to rewrite it in the standard form. So I've got x squared plus 2x minus 3. Then I need to transpose. It changes the sign. It becomes minus 5. Why did I have to transpose? It's because I want the whole of this to be equals to 0. So do I have the like terms over there? Yes, I've got that number and that number, which I can work out on a calculator. So that means I've got x squared plus 2x. This is minus 8, and it's equals to 0. So ladies and gentlemen, it's now in the standard form. Why? Because I've got a positive a value. It's in that order of x squared, x, and a constant. And most importantly, the whole of that, it's equated to 0, which means it's in the standard form. When it's in the standard form, what does it mean? Because in this case, they did not say correct to whatever decimal places. It's a good indication that for this type of a problem, I might need to find the factors. So guys, you need to be perfect in factorization, because when we get to the functions, you will be doing more of factorizations, especially when it gets to that type of a function of, I think it should be parabola. So, ladies and gentlemen, in case if you're still struggling with factorization, please do not underestimate my grade 10 lessons, because that's where I dish out the basics. So I always say I did my grade 10, 11, and 12 in grade 12. I did 3 grades in 1 grade. The reason to that is because when I go to grade 12, I was able to solve some of the problems, but I was not that much confident. So I had to quickly browse through grade 10 books just so that I remind myself of the basics. Then I was very sharp when I was in matric, especially towards mid-year, because I covered the syllabus for grade 10 and 11. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to quickly teach you how to factorize using your head. This is the method that you can teach your little brothers and sisters. So, when you are given this type of a problem, which is a quadratic equation, which is in the standard form where you need to find the factors, you ask yourself, which 2 numbers can you multiply and they give you 8? It's obviously 2 and 4. When multiplied together, they will give you 8. At this stage, I'm not concerned about the sign. I just need 2 numbers, which means obviously in each bracket, I've got x over there. So can I work out 2 and 4 such that they give me the middle term, which is 2? An answer to that question, it's a yes. Remember, what do I mean by that? I mean, can I say 2 plus 4 or 2 minus 4 such that it's going to give me that middle term, which is 2? An answer to that question, it's a yes. So let's see, which means that and that, these are the factors. So I've got 4 over there, I've got 2 over there. Doesn't matter whether I write 2 there or 4 there. Wherever I write it, it's fine. I just know for now that these 2 terms of factors, they can end up giving me 2. So now you've got 2 terms. So the bigger number between those 2 factors takes the sign of the middle term. So what is the sign of the middle term? It's positive. What is the bigger number between these 2 factors? It's 4. Obviously, 4 takes the sign of the middle term. So now, for me to get 2, that's if I say between these 2 values, that's if I say 4, I think when I say 4 minus 2, that's when it gives me what is it? Positive 2. So can you see, guys? That means the sign of that factor is a minus over there, which is a confirmation that there you've got a positive sign, which is that positive 4 over there. So, ladies and gentlemen, I had to explain it in this way because some of you are aware that you can use a quadratic formula to find the factors. But some of you, you've got little brothers and sisters who are in grade 10 and 11, and they need you to explain to them how to factorize because they do not use that formula. So this is how you explain it, which is what I explain in detail when I do my grade 10 lessons. So obviously, guys, now that you know you've got the factors, if you are that fast and you have time, you can still try to prove if all of this it's correct. You say that times that is x squared, that times that is minus 2, that times that is positive 4, that times that takes you back to minus 8. Then you know the middle terms is negative 2 plus 4, which gives you a positive 2. So obviously, you equate that monomial to 0, that to 0. Then you've got x plus 4, it's equals to 0, or x minus 2, it's equals to 0. X it's equals to, you obviously transpose and it becomes negative 4. You've got x, it's equals to positive 2. So ladies and gentlemen, just assuming that I wasn't sure of my final answers because I was very quick in solving this question, assuming that I was in an exam. So I'm able to test both of these answers if they are correct. So ladies and gentlemen, when I substitute my first x value there being -4, and punch the whole of this on that original equation, I must get 5. If I don't get 5, then it means that answer is wrong. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to edit and punch 2 there. When I punch the whole of this, I must get 5. If I don't get 5, then it means it's wrong. So ladies and gentlemen, remember, you can still catch up this lesson where you test all of those values. So you are most likely to get your first mark for writing that in the standard form, for getting the factors, and again for the correct x values. You are most likely to score a mark. Ladies and gentlemen, before we move to the next question, are we all on the same page?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
100%. So guys, that question, it should be one of those easy questions, but you needed to have a background of how to approach it, which is what I had to emphasize. So now let's move to question 1.1.3. I'm just going to quickly write it down. 1.1.3, it's x squared minus 2x minus 15. It's less or equals to 0. And this question, it's allocated 3 marks. So guys, what is this? This is a quadratic inequality. Why am I saying it's a quadratic inequality? It's because I see that letter squared, which means it's a quadratic. I see that sign, which means it's an inequality. Ladies and gentlemen, is it in the standard form? An answer to that question, it's a big yes. Why? Because I've got positive a, and again, the whole of this, it's equated to 0. And again, it's in the standard form of letter squared, letter, then a constant. Ladies and gentlemen, this type of information is what I teach in my grade 10 lessons. Guys, do not underestimate those lessons. So if you are in grade 11 or 12 and you are not able to interpret the given problem, then you won't be able to understand exactly how your final answer should look like. But if you are able to understand and interpret the type of a problem that you're given, you will easily be able to know how your final answer should look like. So obviously, we can straight away find the factors because the whole of that is already in the standard form. So we already know that, and that is what we write over there because of we've got just x squared over there. So now, which two values, when multiplied together, will give us 15, whereby when we work them together, will give us 2. So I think, yes, that one I've done it correct. So guys, if you are able to find those numbers, you can just let me know. But I think 3 times 5, it gives 15. Yes. So just follow the same process, guys. I won't do it again. But obviously, you saw how I get the factors. So we know 5 and 3 can give us 2. So the bigger number between these two will take the sign of the middle term, which factor it's big, it's 5. What is the sign of the middle term? It's minus, so I can give it a minus sign over there. So how can I get that -2 over there? I think that's if I say 3 minus 5, that's when I'm going to get -2. So obviously, I've already assigned that sign over there. So here it's a +3, which means it's going to be a positive sign over there. So once you get to this stage, that's when you need to find what we call critical values. So you need to find what we call critical values. How do you represent critical values? You equate that to 0 and you say, or you equate that to 0, which means x plus 3 is equals to 0, or x minus 5 is equals to 0. Someone once asked a very good question to say, why are we now using an equal sign over there? So I think I said when you find the critical values, that's when you use an equal sign. So you say x it's equals to, obviously it's negative 3. X it's equals to, obviously positive 5. So ladies and gentlemen, why did you have to find the critical values? It's because you wanted to represent them on a number line. Remember, this is that x axis. Okay, so let's represent our critical values on a number line. Between negative 3 and 5, which one comes first on the number line? Obviously, negative 3, followed by positive 5. So if we had negative 3 and negative 5, you firstly start with negative 5 because it's a smaller number followed by negative 3. I hope you fully understand that part, ladies and gentlemen. So now let's see. Remember, I've said if we've got less than or is equals to, this is how you can cram it. Can you see 1, 2? I've written that sign 2 times. So also it's 1, then 2 by shading. Otherwise, if it's just less than, you've written that once, then you also just make a circle once. So same applies for greater than or is equals to and for greater than. So in this case, because it's less than and again it's equals to, you make a circle and you shade it. Ladies and gentlemen, you make a circle and you shade it. You shade it because it's less than or it's equals to. So now we need to check which values will give us which sign. So you firstly use a number, any number on this side, and punch it on an equation which is in the standard form, or that problem which is in the standard form, which means, Linda, if that problem was not given in the standard form, you firstly had to write it in the standard form. Only after it's in the standard form, then you concentrate on that part which is in the standard form. So I can use any number, negative 1,000, negative 10, negative 15, negative whatever. So let's maybe use negative 10. So let's see. You are going to substitute negative 10 there and there and check if you find a positive or a negative number. That's all that we need to do. So into negative 10, you close, you say squared minus 2 into negative 10, you close, you minus 15. I'm getting a positive number. So that means on this side, you get positive numbers. Then I'm going to edit that negative 10 and use a different number over there. But which number am I using now? I use any number between these two numbers. Remember there you've got negative 2, negative 1, you've got 0, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can use any of these numbers to check if you get a negative or a positive value over there. Then I can maybe use a 0 because it's between those two numbers. So into, I've got 0 close squared minus 2 into 0 minus 15. So I'm getting a negative number. Then I can just write a negative there. So I'm going to use any positive number from 5 in that direction. So I can still use that 10 because it's greater than a 5. You can still use a million or any number just so that you check if you get a positive or a negative number. So, ladies and gentlemen, according to that problem, they are saying for which values of x, when substituted there, will give you a number which is less than or equals to 0. Obviously, the values which are less than are negative values. So any negative value, guys, is less than 0. Any positive value is greater than 0. So, sorry guys, from what I've noticed, when you are given less than or is equals to, it is that type of an equation where you join the lines on the number line. And when you represent it on the final answer, these are those type of equations where you represent them in this way. So this means between -3 and 5, that's where the x values are less or equals to 0. So on this side, you just write that negative a critical value. On this side, you write a positive value. So anything that you see written in that manner, it simply means x values between -3 and 5. If you see something written as something like that, guys, 7, this means between 4 and 7. If you see -1 less than x, or maybe it could be y, or any letter less than 4, it means between -1 and 4. That's what it means. So ladies and gentlemen, this question, it was allocated 3 marks, which means it wasn't that much complicated. Maybe for the factors might give you a mark. Maybe for representing that on that number line, they give you a mark. Maybe for your final answer, they give you a mark. Ladies and gentlemen, any question before we move to the next question? Guys, I'm just not sure if we are still together, or otherwise you might find that on my side I'm done and on your side I'm still explaining. But are we all on the same page? Can we move to the next question?
Yes, sir. Yes,
100%. So now
sir, I got
I'm
it right.
very much sorry, say again. Okay, so let's now move to 1.1.4, which is allocated 4 marks. So guys, we've got 1.1.4, which is negative square root of 2x minus 1. This is equals to 2 minus x. And this problem is allocated 4 marks. Ladies and gentlemen, what is this? This is an equation. Obviously, because you see that square root over there, you know it is a quadratic equation. When we've got a quadratic equation, it means we need to solve for the unknown. What is the unknown? The unknown in this case is represented by letter x, which means we have to solve for the x value. And because it's a quadratic equation, means we're going to have 2 values of x. So with this type of equations where you've got a square root, remember guys, very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen, you might firstly need to remove that negative over there. So you might find that there are different types of approach. But in this case, let me show you where you firstly need to remove that negative next to the square root. So obviously, you can divide by -1 -1, -1, which means you've got square root of 2x minus 1, which is equals to -2 plus x. I hope that part makes sense, ladies and gentlemen. So you can just rewrite that part nicely so that you start with a positive term, which means you still have square root of 2x minus 1. It's equals to x. No, it's a minus 2 over there. So the reason why you had to do all of that is so that when you remove that square root, you know everything is in order. So obviously, I think I've taught you guys, I've given you a bit of a background regarding the SATs or how the square root works, such that you now understand why when you introduce a squared on both sides, you remove that square over there, which means you remain with the inside of that square root. It doesn't matter whether it's just one term or it's two terms or it's three terms. When you introduce a square root, you remove that square root. When you introduce a squared, you remove that square root and you remain with whatever that is it's inside. So obviously, you know that one is that by that of the same thing. So we're just going to, we can even update that part over there to say that minus that. So obviously, that times that is x squared, that times that it's minus 2x, that times that it's minus 2x, that times that is positive 4. Obviously, these are great stuff, ladies and gentlemen. So we've got 2x minus 1, which is equals to x. Remember, you just want to work out the like terms, which is minus 4x plus 4. So ladies and gentlemen, because you notice it's a quadratic equation, you therefore need to write it in the standard form of ax squared plus bx plus c and equate everything to 0. Very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. It is for that reason where you need to move everything to the left side of the equal sign. So you can say you start with that negative x squared. Remember, it changes a sign, followed by that positive 2 because it has always been there, and you get this one closer to that 2 because you want to have that in the standard form. So you already had -1, you can write it, you transpose that 4, it becomes -4. Now that you moved everything to the other side, you remain with 0. So ladies and gentlemen, let's work out the like terms. You've got -x squared. This, they give you a positive 6x. Those give you -5. The whole of that, it's equals to 0. Ladies and gentlemen, remember, this is now a quadratic equation, but it's not in the standard form. Therefore, you need to write it in the standard form. Obviously, it's either you divide by negative sign or you just change the signs. Then you've got minus that plus that, it's equals to 0. Now that is in the standard form, you can factorize. So ladies and gentlemen, question 1, you do a lot of factorization. So I'm saying it's very, very much important that you need to be confident with factorization. So straight away, I know 5 and 1 multiplied together give that. Between these two, the bigger number takes the sign of the middle term. The bigger number, it's fine, is therefore -5. So for me to get what is it, -6, that's if I say -5 minus 1, it's going to give me -6. Therefore, the sign of that is negative, the sign of this is going to be negative. So ladies and gentlemen, this is how you simply factorize. Okay, so obviously you can equate the whole of this to 0, then you transpose, you've got +1. Then you say, oh, x, it's equals to, transpose, it's equals to 5. You therefore have 2 values of x. So in this case, where you've got square roots, you might find that not both of these answers, are equals to whatever that is being equated to. For example, you might find that x is not equal to 1, but x is equals to 5. Or you might find that x is equals to 1, but not equals to 5. How do you know if they are both equals to those values? You substitute a 1 on the original equation where you see x on this side, punch it and also punch it and see if you get the same answers. How do you do it? You're going to say negative square root of 2 into 1 being the first x value minus 1, that's equals 2, you get negative 1. Then you punch it on that other side, you say 2 minus into negative, it's positive, yes, it's positive 1. That's equals 2, you are getting positive 1, but on the previous calculation, you got negative 1. So that means on this side, you got a negative 1, but on this side, you get positive 1, which means x is not equals to 1. Then let's test for 5. You say negative square root of 2 into 5 minus 1, that's equals 2, you get negative 3. Let's check on the other side. Is 2 a minus 5, which is negative 3. Ladies and gentlemen, it means this is the end of your question where x is not equals to 1, but it's equals to 5. So this is how you might score your 4 marks. Let's see. For writing it in the standard form, they might also give you a mark, ladies and gentlemen. For the factors, they might also give you a mark. For saying it's not equals to 1, they might give you 1. For saying it's equals to 5, they might give you a 1. Ladies and gentlemen, before we move to the next question, is there someone who's got a question? Or are we all on the same page?
We are all on the same page, sir.
100%. So now, let's quickly do those remaining questions. Remember, guys, by the end of this week, we should be done with this type of questions. Then we can do the same for other chapters. So we've got that which is allocated 3 marks. So we've got 7 multiplied by 3 to the exponent x minus 3x plus 1. It's equals to 36. So let's see. With this type of problems, ladies and gentlemen, you just need to expand. So let's see. We've got 7 multiplied by 3 to the exponent x minus. You can expand that part to say this is the same as x multiplied by 3 to the exponent 1 and say the whole of this it's equals to 36 as given. So on this side, we've got a like term, which is 3 to the exponent x into 7 minus 3. Remember, to the exponent 1 is just 3. This is equals to 36. So you can work out what is in that bracket, which means you've got 4 inside, it's equals to 36. Remember, we need to remove everything attached to that value that has x, which means we can divide by 4 on both sides. Why did we have to divide by 4? We wanted that to cancel so that we remain with 3 to the exponent x. So 36 divided by 4, that's equals to 9. So ladies and gentlemen, we've got 3 to the exponent that we know if we make our base 3 so that it is the same as that one, our exponent is equals to 2. So because the bases are the same, they can fall away, and then we've got x, which is equals to 2. So ladies and gentlemen, you can prove if that answer is wrong or correct. How do you do it? Substitute 2 where you see x. So substitute 2 there plus 1. It must give you 36. If it doesn't, then it means that x value is wrong. So remember, this is allocated 3 marks. For your final answer, a mark. For that step, a mark. And I think either for expanding or that part, they give you a mark. So ladies and gentlemen, any questions before we move to the next question? Are we all on the same page?
Yes, sir.
100%. Remember, guys, if you've got a question or you are not sure of something, feel free to understand. But I'm confident that my explanation is straightforward because most of you have been attending my lesson. So here we've got a simultaneous type of a problem, which is 2y minus 1, is 2x. So this is 2x minus 1, that's equals to y. And again, we've got x squared minus 3y, that's equals to 3x minus 3. So this is equation 1. This is equation number 2. So ladies and gentlemen, in this case, you don't need to stress about making either x or y the subject of the formula because already it's given as y is equals to something. All you need to do is to substitute equation 1 into equation number 2. So that means you've got x squared minus 3. Wherever you see a y, you substitute the whole of that. So you've got 2x minus 1. It's equals to 3x minus 3. So obviously, you need to target that part of the bracket. So it's negative 6x plus 3. You can same time transpose. You've got minus 3. You've got positive 3 is equals to 0. Why did I have to expose? Ladies and gentlemen, it's because I notice I've got a quadratic equation over there. So I'm going to write it in that order. So obviously minus 6 minus that, I think it's minus 9x, and 2 of these is positive 6, it's equals to 0. Now it's in the standard form. I can therefore, let's see, I can now, what is it? I can factorize. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to quickly check if I can be able to factorize that, and again to check if I haven't made a mistake somewhere. So obviously, I had to substitute that way over there. Then I've got x squared minus 3 into that. It's equals to the whole of that. So that times that, it's negative 6x. That times that, what is it? It's positive 3. Then I transpose is negative 3. Then also that one is positive 3. Then it's that. Okay. So guys, is there anyone who'd like to give us the factors for that problem over there? Oh, yes. I've just noticed something, which is why I felt like I had to confirm. Guys, can you see? I think I've copied that problem incorrectly. That's why we don't even have the factors for that problem. So, guys, before I rectify that mistake, are you able to understand where I say I copied it incorrectly? Anyone to confirm if they are able to see where I made a mistake?
Yes, sir. On the X, you
100,
said 3Y.
100%, which means, guys, which is a good indication that when you copy a problem incorrectly, the whole of your answer already it's wrong. So there it was supposed to be x, which means still same approach, that into that. So I've got x squared minus, let's see, I've got x into, so it's 2x minus 1 close, it's equals to 3x minus 3. Then I've got x squared, then that times that is minus 2x, that times that is positive x, I transpose minus 3, positive 3, it's equals to 0. So obviously, I've got like terms there and there, there and there. When I work out this, I'm getting negative 1x squared, that I'm getting negative 2x, and there it's positive 3, which is equals to 0. In the standard form, we remove that negative. You can just change the sign of everything. Then there it will be minus 3. It's equals to 0. So this one, let's see if it's possible to factorize. Already I know 3 and 1, they give me 3. Bigger number takes the sign of the middle term. And again, for me to get positive 2, that's if that is a negative. Any question? Someone unmuted their mic. Okay, no question. You equate that to 0, that to 0. You've got x is equals to 1 or x is equals to negative 3. So now you can use this value to substitute into equation number 1. Remember, you've got 2 into 1 minus 1, which is equals to y. So that means y is equals to the whole of this, which is that minus that is equals to 1. So that means where x is 1, the corresponding y value is 1. Again, you do the same. You say 2 into minus 3 minus 1 is equals to 1. Y. Then that is minus 6 minus 1 is equals. So that means y, it's equals to minus 7. So where x is negative 3, the corresponding y value it's negative 7. So guys, obviously, for writing it in the standard form for factors, maybe you also get that for the x values and again for the y values. So ladies and gentlemen, how many marks was it? Was allocated 5 marks. So they might give you just 1 mark for those y values. So guys, any question before we move to the last question?
Yes, sir, I got it right.
Anyone who's got a question, guys? I'm not sure if there was someone who was trying to ask a question. Okay, which means we are on the same page, guys. So now let's move to our last question. The reason why I'm bringing it here so that you are able to see if I copy that incorrectly. It's also there in our group. So we've got square root of 5 times square root of 125 minus 5 to the exponent x, 5 plus that, then we've got 5 2x. This question is also allocated 3 marks. What is this, guys? This is an expression. When we've got an expression, we simplify. Why is it an expression? Because we do not have an equal sign. So let's simplify. Normally, you can start by expanding that part over there. So you've got square root of 5 multiplied by square root of 125 minus you've got 5 to the exponent x times 5 to the exponent x times 5 to the exponent 1. The whole of this is equals to that. before I forget, we've got a 2 over there. Remember, guys, there's a lesson where I do maths basic rules. So you've got square root of 5, square root of 2, 5 minus. When you multiply the same basis, you add the exponent, which means you're going to have 5 to the exponent x plus x, which is equals to 5 to the exponent 2x, because x plus x is equals to 2x. That means you've got 2x multiplied by 5 to the exponent 1. So remember, it's not necessary to write if it's just to the exponent 1 over 5 to the exponent 2x. So you can see that cancels with that. Then you remain with square root of 5 multiplied by what is that, guys? Do we know what is square root of 25? I think if you use the SATs, 125, I think it's 1 times, what is it? Is it not 1 times 25? Let me see, 5 times 25. Yes, it's 125. Then you write it in that way, and you say minus. Remember, there you remain with 5 because those cancelled. Remember, guys, you must simplify this without using a calculator, which means you have to show that step. Okay, so obviously, you know you've got square root of 5 multiplied by a square root of 5 multiplied by square root of 25 minus 5. So this is that chapter of dealing with the SATs. One day I will do a complete lesson where I teach you how the SATs works. So remember, guys, you are multiplying a square root times a square root over there. So if you remember, square root of x, this is the same as you've got 2 over there, which is not necessary to write. Just like you've got 1 over there, which is not necessary to write. You've got 1 over there, which is not necessary to write. So this in its other form is the same as x to the exponent 1, which is that 1 over that 2 over there. So based on that explanation, ladies and gentlemen, I can say this is the same as 5 to the exponent 1 over 2 multiplied by 5 to the exponent 1 over 2 multiplied by, we know square root of 25 is 5, ladies and gentlemen, minus 5. Okay, so remember guys, you are multiplying what is it? You are multiplying the same basis, which means you've got what is it? You've got 5 to the exponent what is it? 1 over 2 plus 1 over 2 plus 1 minus 5. I hope it makes sense, guys. So you've got half plus half, which is 1, plus 1 is 2, which means you've got 5 squared minus 5. Okay, what is 5 squared, ladies and gentlemen? I think 5 squared is 25 minus that 5. Okay, so 25 minus 5, ladies and gentlemen, this should be 20. Okay, which means your final answer is 20. So how do you prove if your final answer is correct? Ladies and gentlemen, take that same answer, which is 20, and substitute it in place of x. Make sure to substitute it correctly and punch the whole of this, and you must get 20. If you don't get 20, it's either you made a mistake when you were doing your calculation, or otherwise you made a mistake when you were substituting into that original equation. Ladies and gentlemen, you are most likely to score your marks, obviously, for your final answer. And again, maybe somewhere over there, they are able to allocate you 2 marks. So it's very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen, that you show all the steps. So guys, before I conclude our lesson for today, are we all happy with this question? And again, are you all satisfied with today's lesson?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So guys, does it mean you feel the confidence to obtain a almost, let's say almost full marks for question 1?
Yes, sir.
So which means for just for just question 1, if we did all of that correctly, then we got 16%. You just need what is it? Is it 34 for you to get a 50%? Then you know for your mathematics you have passed with 50%, which is additional lessons that we'll be doing where I teach you some more. So guys, this should bring us to the end of our lesson for today. My name is Desmond and I'm out. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this lesson as much as I did. So I'm just going to end this lesson. Guys, thanks for joining and good night to everyone.
Thank you very much, sir.